All right, so you're prepping for a Biomedical Scientist Advanced interview.
Uh-huh.
We're going to dive deep into how to really nail this thing.
Okay.
And we're using some awesome resources from RoleCatcher today.
Sounds good.
We've got their career guide, their interview guide, and even get a look at how their platform can help you tailor your answers.
Great.
It's a role that blends serious scientific know-how with like real-world applications.
Yeah.
You're not just a researcher in this role.
Right.
You're also expected to be an educator and a leader.
Definitely.
So that makes this prep super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about knowing the science inside and out.
Right.
It's about showing those leadership skills
Yeah.
and those communication skills
Right.
that really make a Biomedical Scientist Advanced stand out.
Absolutely.
So let's jump in with RoleCatcher's career guide.
Okay.
It highlights something called translational research
Mm-hmm.
as a key focus.
Yeah.
So what does that actually mean for someone in this role?
Well, you can think of it as taking those incredible scientific discoveries,
Okay.
the ones that happen in the lab, and turning them into real-world solutions.
Okay.
It's like building a bridge between basic science and the medical advancements that directly help patients.
So a Biomedical Scientist Advanced isn't just like head down in research.
Yeah. No.
They're thinking about how that research can make a difference.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, and that leads us perfectly to one of the questions from RoleCatcher's interview guide.
Okay.
Can you explain the process you would use to develop a new diagnostic test?
Mm-hmm.
It seems pretty straightforward at first,
Yeah.
but I bet there's a lot to unpack here.
Oh, definitely.
What do you think?
This question is really testing you on whether you understand the entire life cycle of how a diagnostic test is developed.
Okay.
You want to give an answer that walks the interviewer through all the stages,
Mhm.
from that initial research and design
Yeah.
to developing and optimizing the test, then rigorously validating it. And then clinical testing, of course, and finally how you navigate
Right.
that whole regulatory approval process.
That's a lot.
It's
What's a common pitfall?
Hmm.
What's a common pitfall that candidates might stumble into when they're answering this question?
I think a big one is oversimplifying the process.
Okay.
You want to show that you understand how complex it is,
Yeah.
the rigor involved in every single stage.
Right.
So emphasize things like sensitivity, specificity,
Okay.
and making sure the test is reliable and actually useful clinically.
So don't just like rattle off a list of steps.
No.
Really demonstrate that you get what each step involves.
Exactly.
Now this is cool.
What's that?
RoleCatcher's AI.
Mm-hmm.
It can actually analyze job descriptions
Wow.
and suggest ways to tailor your answers to specific roles.
Interesting.
How might that come into play with this question?
Imagine you're applying for a role
Oh.
that's heavily focused on early stage diagnostics.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's AI might pick up on keywords. In that job description,
Yeah.
keywords like biomarker discovery or proof of concept studies.
Uh-huh.
And based on those keywords, it can then suggest that you emphasize your experience in those specific areas.
So you're really aligning with what the company's looking for.
Right.
That's incredible.
Powerful stuff.
It's like having a personalized guide to
Yeah.
make sure your answer hits all the right notes.
I like that.
All right, let's move on to a question
Okay.
that delves into a kind of sensitive area,
Right.
working with human samples.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, what experience do you have working with human samples, and how have you managed the associated risks?
That's a good one.
So demonstrating your ethical awareness is paramount here.
You got it.
What do you think?
Absolutely. This is about showing you understand the ethical considerations,
Mhm.
the safety considerations.
Right.
When you're handling human samples,
Yeah.
you want to highlight your knowledge of informed consent procedures, proper handling protocols, storage protocols,
Got it.
and how you've minimized risks
Right.
in your past work.
Could you give an example of how someone could demonstrate that?
Sure.
Like how they've effectively managed risks in this area?
Let's say you've worked with blood samples.
Okay.
A strong answer would involve very specific examples.
Right.
So you could say something like,
Yeah.
in my previous role, I always adhered to strict lab protocols.
Mm-hmm.
Things like wearing the appropriate PPE,
Right.
using a biosafety cabinet for handling,
Yeah.
and even implementing a double check system for labeling and tracking.
So you're really showing that you take these responsibilities seriously.
Exactly. You're demonstrating that you don't take it lightly.
And RoleCatcher's AI
Yeah,
can provide feedback on how you deliver your answer right.
it can.
So you can project that confidence
Yeah.
and clarity
Mm-hmm.
when you're talking about sensitive topics like this.
Exactly. It analyzes all kinds of
Like
things.
what's that?
Your tone of voice, your body language, even your word choices,
Wow.
to give you personalized tips
Okay.
to improve how you present yourself.
It's like having a virtual interview coach,
Yeah,
helping you refine your approach
right.
so you make the best impact.
Absolutely.
This is where that educator side of the role really shines through.
I see what you mean.
You're not just explaining what you've done.
Right.
You're showcasing your commitment to doing things the right way, ethically and safely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's tackle another question.
Okay.
How do you keep up to date with the latest developments in your field, and how have you incorporated new technologies into your work? Biomedical science, it's always evolving.
Oh, yeah. Constantly.
So staying current is crucial.
Absolutely crucial.
What do you think?
This question's all about showing your dedication to lifelong learning.
Okay.
So mention your subscriptions to important journals, your participation in conferences and workshops.
Yeah.
You can even talk about engaging with online communities. Interesting.
Where professionals share the latest findings.
Yeah.
But don't just stop there.
Okay.
Go a step further.
Okay.
Talk about specific technologies that you've actually used in your work.
Got it.
Show how you've applied those new advancements.
For example, mentioning experience with CRISPR
That's a good word.
or next-generation sequencing.
Yeah.
That would really demonstrate you're on the cutting edge.
Exactly. Shows you're right there with the latest.
And this is where RoleCatcher can come in again to help you tailor your answer.
Okay.
Let's say the job description emphasizes personalized medicine
Okay.
or gene editing.
Mm-hmm.
The platform can find those keywords
Yeah.
and suggest that you weave in relevant experiences
Right.
into your response,
That makes sense.
showing that you deeply understand the company's focus
Uh,
and how your expertise aligns with that.
yeah.
It's like having a secret weapon
It is.
to make sure your answer is laser focused.
On the specific role you're after.
I like it.
Okay. Let's switch gears a bit
Okay.
and tackle a question.
All right.
That might seem less technical,
Okay.
but is just as important.
Got it.
The question is, can you describe a time when you had to communicate complex scientific concepts to a non-scientific audience, and how did you ensure they understood the information?
Interesting.
This gets to the heart of that educator role
Right.
we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's all about showing you can break down complex information without losing the important parts.
Yeah.
Think about who you were talking to, what their level of understanding was, what
Right.
they really needed to know.
Okay.
Avoid all that jargon.
Yeah.
Use clear and concise language
Yeah.
and, consider analogies or metaphors
I like that.
to make it relatable.
So it's all about tailoring your approach
Exactly.
to your audience.
Right.
Did you ever find yourself struggling to find that balance?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Between accuracy and simplicity.
Oh, yeah,
It's
definitely.
a skill, it takes practice.
Lots of practice. What about you?
I remember presenting my research to a group of investors once.
Okay.
Their background was in finance,
Oh, wow.
not science at all.
So different.
And I had to figure out how to explain the potential impact
Yeah.
of my work without getting bogged down in all the technical stuff.
That's a challenge.
It was,
What did you do?
well, I focused on the why.
The why.
Yeah, like what problem were we trying to solve?
Okay.
What impact could our discoveries have on healthcare? And I used visuals
Okay.
and real-world examples
Got it.
to make the information more engaging,
Yeah.
easier to understand.
What's a great example of how storytelling
Yeah.
can make even the most complex topics more accessible?
I agree.
And it highlights something really important.
What's that?
Communicating effectively is a skill. It can be learned
Yeah.
and refined.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine those communication skills
It can.
even further by analyzing your video responses.
Yeah.
It can give you feedback on your tone of voice, your pacing, your
That
clarity.
makes sense.
It ensures you're presenting yourself
Yeah.
in the most confident and engaging way.
Right.
This is invaluable,
It is.
especially when so many interviews these days have virtual components.
Definitely.
Okay, before we move on,
Okay.
I want to touch on a question
All right.
that often makes people nervous.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of a time when you had to work under pressure to meet a tight deadline, and how did you manage the situation?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Research can be high stakes,
Definitely.
so showing you can handle pressure is key.
Absolutely key.
What are your thoughts on that one?
The interviewer wants to see your problem-solving skills,
Okay.
your ability to prioritize,
Mm.
and your resilience when things get tough.
Right.
So start by really setting the scene.
Okay.
Describe the situation, the deadline pressure,
Mm-hmm.
and what might happen if you didn't deliver.
Right, the consequences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you walk them through what you did,
Uh-huh.
highlighting your ability to break down the task, manage your time, stay focused.
So it's not just about saying, I worked hard.
No, not at all.
It's about demonstrating what you did
Yeah,
to manage that pressure.
exactly.
And RoleCatcher's AI
Mm-hmm.
can give feedback on how you frame your response.
It can.
Can you give me an example?
Sure.
How that might work?
Imagine you're talking about a time
Okay.
when you had to completely change your research strategy
Okay.
because of an unexpected delay.
Mm-hmm.
The AI might suggest that you emphasize your flexibility,
Okay.
your ability to think on your feet,
Mm-hmm.
and your willingness to collaborate
Right.
to find solutions.
So you're highlighting those qualities that employers really value
Exactly.
in high-pressure situations.
Right.
It's like having a strategic advisor
It is.
helping you craft the perfect story.
I like that.
It's like having a personal editor for your interview answers
Yeah.
to make sure you're presenting yourself
Mm-hmm.
and your experiences
Yeah.
in the most compelling way.
In the best possible light.
Exactly.
And that kind of preparation can make all the difference
That can.
in making a lasting impression and
Yeah.
landing that advanced biomedical scientist role.
Absolutely.
So you really want to paint a clear picture of how you perform under pressure.
Right.
And that brings us to another question
Okay.
that kind of digs into your problem-solving skills.
All right.
Can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a complex laboratory issue, and how did you resolve it?
Oh, yeah. Every scientist has a story or two
Oh, I bet.
about experiments gone wrong.
For sure.
So what are the key things the interviewer is looking for here?
They want to see how you approach a problem.
Okay.
Logically,
Yeah.
how you think critically,
Uh-huh.
and if you can stay calm and focused when things aren't going right.
Right. When things go sideways.
Exactly.
Okay.
So start by setting the scene.
Okay.
Briefly describe the experiment,
Yeah.
the issue you ran into,
Mm-hmm.
and what might have happened if you hadn't figured it out.
Right. The consequences.
Yeah. Then you gotta walk the interviewer through how you thought about it.
Okay.
Like, what were the steps you took to diagnose the problem?
Yeah.
Did you look things up?
Right.
Talk to colleagues?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of tests did you run?
So it's about showing you're analytical,
Yes.
that you're resourceful,
Uh-huh.
and that you can get to a solution.
Exactly.
It's not enough to just say, I fixed it.
Yep.
You have to show how you did it.
All right. Show the process.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback can be super valuable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You can record yourself answering the question
Okay.
and get feedback
Okay.
on how you're coming across.
Yeah.
Are you being clear?
Uh-huh.
Are you concise?
Mm-hmm.
Are you hitting on those key skills?
Right.
It's like having a mock interview
I like that.
with an expert who can tell you what to improve,
Yeah, that's really helpful.
especially for those of us who might get a little flustered
Oh, yeah, me too.
recounting a high-pressure situation.
Totally.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and look at a question
All right.
that really taps into that educator side of the role.
Okay.
The question is, can you describe a time when you had to communicate complex scientific concepts to a non-scientific audience? And how did you ensure they understood the information?
That's a good one.
This seems super relevant
It is.
for a Biomedical Scientist Advanced,
Yeah.
who often has to bridge that gap
Right.
between the lab and the real world.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think?
It's a skill that's essential,
Mm-hmm.
not just for this job,
Right.
but for any scientist
Yeah.
who wants their work to be accessible and impactful.
Absolutely.
You got to find that sweet spot
Okay.
between being accurate
Yeah.
and keeping it simple.
But not dumbing it down.
Exactly.
Oh, it's
You
fair.
really have to think about your audience. Mm-hmm.
What's their level of understanding?
So, okay.
What are they interested in?
Right.
And then you tailor your language and how you approach it
Okay.
based on that.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide.
Yeah.
It talks about using visuals, storytelling,
Yeah.
even humor
Mm-hmm.
to engage a non-scientific audience.
That's right.
Have you found those techniques to be effective?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Visuals can make complex data much easier to understand.
Okay.
Storytelling can help people connect with your work
Mm-hmm.
on a personal level.
Right.
And a little humor
Yeah.
can make learning more fun.
It can lighten things up.
But the most important thing is to make sure they're getting it.
Right. Check for understanding.
Exactly.
Don't just assume they're following along.
No.
Ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
encourage feedback,
Right.
and be ready to explain things differently if you need to.
Exactly.
It's about being responsive
Yes.
to your audience and making sure they're engaged.
Absolutely. Now, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your answers
Yeah,
for things like clarity and conciseness.
that's right.
Can you talk a little bit more about how that feedback might be helpful here?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's say you're describing a complex research project.
Okay.
The AI might notice that you're using a lot of jargon
Uh-huh.
or super technical language,
Okay.
and it can then suggest different ways to phrase things
Okay,
or
yeah.
simpler explanations.
Got it.
So your message is clear to
Yeah.
a wider audience.
It's like having a communication coach
It is.
helping you fine-tune your delivery
Yeah,
for maximum impact.
absolutely.
Okay, let's tackle another question
All right.
that a lot of people find pretty daunting.
Okay.
The question is,
Yeah.
can you give an example of a time when you had to work under pressure to meet a tight deadline, and how did you manage the situation?
Oh, yeah. That's classic.
Deadlines, they're a fact of life in science.
Oh, they are.
So
They're
being able to
big.
handle that pressure,
Yeah,
it's essential.
absolutely.
What do you think?
This question's all about demonstrating
Okay.
your ability to prioritize, stay organized, and stay calm
Right.
when things get crazy.
Okay.
So start by setting the scene.
Yeah.
Talk about the deadline,
Uh-huh.
what was at stake,
Okay.
and what challenges you faced.
Right.
Then walk the interviewer through your actions,
Okay.
highlighting specific strategies you use, like how you managed your time,
Okay.
if you delegated tasks, or if you asked colleagues for help.
It's about showing you're proactive. Not just saying, I worked long hours,
Right.
but how you actually made things happen.
Exactly.
And RoleCatcher's AI can give feedback on how you frame this.
It can.
Can you give an example
Sure.
of how that might work?
Let's say you're talking about a time
Go ahead.
you had to completely change your research strategy
Okay.
because something unexpected happened.
Yeah, a delay.
Right, a delay.
Okay.
The AI might suggest that you really play up your flexibility,
Oh.
your ability to think on your feet,
Mm-hmm.
and how willing you are to collaborate to find solutions.
So you're highlighting the stuff employers want to see
Exactly.
in those high-pressure moments.
Right.
That's like having a strategic advisor
It is.
helping you tell the most impactful story.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, let's move on
Okay.
to a question about your commitment to quality.
All right.
Can you describe a time when you had to identify and address a quality issue in your work, and what steps did you take to prevent it from happening again?
That's an interesting one.
We all make mistakes.
We do.
This question's about showing you can learn and grow
Yeah,
from those experiences.
I agree.
What are your thoughts?
It's about showcasing
Good.
your attention to detail, your commitment to always improving, and how you take responsibility for your work.
Right. Taking ownership.
Exactly.
Okay.
So be specific, describe the issue,
Uh-huh.
the potential impact,
Oh.
and how you fixed it. Then you explain the things you put in place
Okay.
to keep it from happening again.
So you're preventing future errors.
Exactly.
Like what kind of things?
It could be updating protocols,
Okay.
adding new quality control checks, or providing more training for your team.
So it's not just fixing the problem.
No.
It's about showing you're proactive.
Right. You're taking steps to prevent it.
Exactly.
You're building a culture of quality.
And RoleCatcher's AI
Mm-hmm.
can analyze how you explain this, making sure it's clear and concise.
That's right.
Can you give an example
Sure.
of how that feedback might be helpful?
Let's say you're describing a really complex quality control process.
Okay.
The AI might suggest using bullet points
Okay.
or a timeline
Got it.
to break down what you did
Yeah,
so the interviewer can follow along easily.
that makes sense.
It might even suggest that you highlight specific metrics or data
Yeah.
points
Got it.
to prove that what you did actually worked.
It's like having a personal editor.
Yes.
It's helping you polish your answer
Yeah.
and really highlight those key takeaways.
Exactly. And that level of preparation,
Mm-hmm.
it can give you a real advantage
It can.
in showcasing what you bring to the table
Absolutely.
and making a lasting impression.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to circle back
Yeah.
to something we talked about earlier,
All right.
the importance of soft skills
Oh, yeah.
in science roles.
Absolutely.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide,
Mm-hmm.
it lists active listening
Uh-huh.
and critical thinking
Yeah.
as two of the most important skills
I agree.
for a Biomedical Scientist Advanced.
They're essential.
So why are they so crucial?
Well, active listening.
Yeah.
It's key for communicating.
Okay.
and collaborating effectively.
Right.
It's about truly understanding what other people are saying, not just waiting for your turn to talk
I see.
in a scientific setting.
Yeah.
That can make a huge difference
It can.
in how good your research is,
Right.
your relationships with your colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
and how successful you are as a team.
And critical thinking.
Yeah.
I imagine that's crucial for analyzing data,
Oh, it's huge.
troubleshooting problems, making good decisions.
Absolutely. Critical thinking
Yeah.
is all about looking at information objectively,
Okay.
spotting any biases or assumptions,
Right.
and then making a judgment.
So in science,
Yeah.
this skill is essential.
It's everything.
It helps you design good experiments, interpret data accurately,
Right.
and draw valid conclusions.
You got it.
So it's not just about being brilliant.
No.
It's about being well-rounded,
Uh-huh.
being able to communicate,
Yeah.
collaborate, and think critically.
Exactly.
And the good news is
Yeah.
these soft skills can be developed.
They can
You can hone them.
over time.
And the more you practice them, the more natural they become.
Right. The easier it gets.
And RoleCatcher's AI feedback
can help you develop these skills.
is a great tool for that.
You can see how you come across
Yeah.
in those video responses and get tips on how to improve your communication style, your body language, your overall presentation.
It's like having a personal coach
Yeah.
guiding you.
Right. There with you.
Okay, before we move on to the last part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to talk about something else.
Right.
That's a big part of this role.
Okay.
Leadership.
Wow. Yeah. Leadership.
Like, even if you're not directly managing people,
Right.
it's still a key part of being a biomedical scientist, like advanced.
The RoleCatcher Career Guide.
Yeah.
It mentions how these scientists, they're often asked to mentor others.
Yeah, that's right.
To lead research projects, to advocate for scientific advancements.
Absolutely.
What are some qualities that make a good leader in science?
A good leader in science is someone who's passionate
Okay.
about their work.
They inspire others to do their best.
Yeah.
And they build a team environment
Okay.
that's collaborative and supportive.
Got it.
They're also good communicators, effective problem solvers,
Okay.
and strategic thinkers.
I see.
They can set a vision
Yeah.
and guide their team to make it happen.
I bet RoleCatcher's interview practice feature could be helpful
You could?
for prepping for leadership questions.
Sure.
You can practice answering questions about your leadership style, how you mentor people,
Yeah.
your experience leading teams or projects.
And the AI can give you feedback.
It can.
Help you make your answers stronger and present yourself as a confident leader.
Absolutely. A capable leader.
Okay, so we've really dug in to the interview prep.
Yeah, we have.
Using RoleCatcher's resources to break down those tough questions.
Right.
But let's zoom out for a sec.
Okay.
Talk about the bigger picture.
Right.
What's it actually like?
To have a career as a biomedical scientist advanced.
This is where it gets exciting.
Okay.
RoleCatcher's Career Guide shows us
Yeah.
that there are so many different paths and possibilities.
It's not just about climbing that ladder in a research lab.
No, not at all.
What are some of the directions someone could take with this role?
Well, you could go for more senior research positions.
Okay.
Maybe lead your own team. You could even become a principal investigator.
Wow, what's that like?
It's like being the captain of your own research ship.
I like that.
You get to chart the course of scientific exploration.
That sounds amazing.
It is pretty cool.
What does it take to get there?
You need deep expertise,
Okay.
proven leadership skills, and the ability to get funding for your projects.
So it's challenging,
It can be.
but rewarding.
Oh, definitely. The impact you can have is huge.
What about someone who loves science,
Yeah.
but isn't interested in that traditional academic
Yeah.
path? Are there options outside of research labs?
Absolutely tons.
Like what?
You could work for the government,
Oh.
contributing to public health initiatives, or even shaping science policy.
Wow.
Pharmaceutical companies and biotech startups,
Yeah.
they're always looking for talented scientists.
Right.
You could even go into science communication,
Oh, yeah.
making complex research easy to understand for everyone.
So many options.
There are.
RoleCatcher even has this career compass feature that can help you figure out your potential path.
It's awesome.
What's it like?
It's like a personalized roadmap.
Okay.
It considers your interests, your skills, your experience.
And it suggests potential roles,
Yes.
highlights courses or certifications you could get, even gives you insights into salary expectations and job market trends.
It's like having a career advisor right in your pocket,
It is.
helping you find a path
Yeah.
that's both fulfilling and impactful.
So we've talked about the role,
Yeah.
the interview prep,
Uh-huh.
the career paths,
Right.
but it all boils down to this.
Okay.
What kind of impact do you want to make
Yeah.
as a biomedical scientist advanced?
That's the question every aspiring scientist should ask.
It is.
Do you want to push the boundaries of what we know,
Okay.
develop life-saving treatments,
Yeah.
shape public health policy, or inspire the next generation of scientists?
Whatever your passion.
Yeah.
Remember this.
What's that?
You have the potential
You do?
to make a real difference.
RoleCatcher can help you along the way.
Absolutely.
From making your resume stand out,
Yeah.
nailing those interview questions, to figuring out a fulfilling career path.
This has been an amazing deep dive
It has.
into the world of the Biomedical Scientist Advanced.
We've covered so much.
We
The
have.
challenges, the rewards,
Yeah.
the skills, what makes someone successful in this role,
Yeah.
and all those incredible opportunities out there.
So to all those aspiring biomedical scientists advanced out there, go make your mark on the world.
We're excited to see what you do.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.